Hey everyone, I'm Boom.
And I'm Spies. I take the teeth out. And I'm Spies. And this is the Boom and Spice Boo Tech Book Dracula. we didn't go over this.
No, we did not talk about what we were going to name it.
Ktacular Halloween edition. Yay.
Yeah, maybe I'll throw that in the title. There'll be a bunch of O's in the
Boo-tacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boom, what are we reading for this episode?
We're reading Dracula by Bram Stoker.
Mm-hmm. Well, get right into it. Boom, did you like it?
I really liked it. I liked it a lot. It's I think it's right up there. I'm sure we're probably going to talk about it a lot. It's right up there with Frankenstein for me, and you guys know we like Frankenstein.
Quite a bit. It's a very similar format. I cannot imagine we're going to spoil that much for anybody. But, it's interesting because Frankenstein, all the adaptations differ a lot in terms of the characteristics of the monster, but it doesn't change that much during the plot. But Dracula, I had no idea what this plot was going to be. But every characteristic of Dracula was followed through. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Dracula is exactly the way you picture him. That's how he's portrayed. In whatever you're thinking of in your mind right now, like you're trying to picture Dracula,
Yep.
It looks exactly like, he's described exactly like it and behaves pretty much that way too.
That sort of segues into so we are dressed up for Halloween. I know you can't see it. That's part of why I put in the teeth, so you can trust me.
I forgot the... Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you got the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there.
Yeah. Definitive. So Boom is a nondescript Jedi, so he can use it more than once. And I am Dracula. I'm Dracula. And I look very silly. I look more like a mime than I do a vampire. I'm covered in grease paint. It's getting in my eyes. I didn't have a dress shirt that I wanted to sacrifice to the paint, so I'm wearing a polo under my cape. Collectively, it was a pretty cheap costume. It was like $20. I got it from Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, I started off on the cheap path. Like my whole Jedi get up was about $30.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, all right, I'll stop at Walmart and grab a little lightsaber from like the kids' toys section. That can't cost very much money.
Yeah.
$27 for a lightsaber.
Yeah.
That doesn't even look good. Like it doesn't fully retract.
No, it looks terrible.
It's not a good lightsaber.
I had a better lightsaber for maybe half that would fully retract. That I think the only key difference was that it didn't make noise.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a super desirable characteristic for me. Like at a party, if I'm gonna wear this dressing up somewhere, it's not like. As an adult, people aren't going to be like, oh, shoot.
Oh, man, it goes whoosh.
that lightsaber lights up.
Okay.
I think it's more just like, oh, okay, cool, you got a lightsaber.
I think it almost looks cooler as a hilt.
Exactly. It's not like I'm going to be getting it out and, fighting people. Getting it out.
Boom's getting it out at the party.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Tell about the saucy side of your outfit.
Oh, yeah, this thing doesn't come with an undershirt. So, if I move around almost at all, just the act, just sitting down and getting back up a couple times tonight, I've, undone half of it. My whole chest is out.
Oh, you got a bare-chested Boom.
Got a bare-chested Boom. Oh, yeah.
You look very sage. We're both wearing capes.
We do both have some cloak cape going on.
Yeah, I look like the Babadook. Like a mime. See, I went for pale man, unbelievably pale man, and I arrived at unwashed or unrubbed in sunscreen. I don't know what I could have done differently. I think I over applied and under rubbed in, but I did this in 10 minutes. I shaved and then I did this. I had a little beard going on.
Yeah.
I was between. So in the book, Dracula does have a mustache that doesn't carry over to every adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
But I was between either keeping my mustache uncovered like I did for the most part. There's a couple of hairs covered up. Or, like, you know those old Batman TV shows with Adam West?
Yes.
Yeah, you know Cesar Romero, the Joker?
Mm-hmm.
He would paint over his mustache to play the Joker. You don't want to shave it, but they wanted him to be the Joker.
That is absolutely nuts.
So, yeah, I'm like, I considered pulling a Cesar Romero. Now, boom, you had an issue accessing this, right? Like, between your two copies?
So, not so much an issue accessing it. They actually had a pretty decent like audiobook, which was I did most of it. But I like to buy copies of the books for my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So I go on Amazon and I find this cover.
Yeah.
Like it's
neat.
nice enough for the shelf. You know, something. It's not super.
It looks huge.
It's huge. That's what I'm getting at.
That's like a
is
coffee table.
this doesn't go on my shelf? I'm gonna have to do something else because this thing
some sort of
is
display.
gigantic. Yeah, it was supposed to be like just imagine a regular book. This is like twice that. It's like really thin, but like it's like a magazine.
It looks like a script.
Yeah, and like it's
Built
that
like a
wouldn't be
script.
pleasant to read. Yeah, it's,
No, that is a display. That looks terrible.
and it doesn't have any like girth. You know, like it doesn't like it won't stand up. Like
No,
it's
that is
not
the
very
middle
great.
of the shelf.
Yeah,
But it looks like it was made to be displayed. So I don't know what.
yeah, because I mean, yeah, the spine art doesn't exist. It's just nothing. It just says Dracula.
I like the Van Helsing quote on the back.
Yes, that's cool.
That's
is
probably the
cool.
only really cool part about that. Other than
Yeah, no, I mean it's very
That's
like
cool.
plain. You know, it's just
I can get down with it. Though.
yeah,
I can
it's
get down
simple.
with
If it was small, I'd be totally happy to have it on my
just
shelf.
shrink it down and make the format a little more accessible.
But yeah, so now I'm probably gonna have to buy a new copy of Dracula.
Was this my copy of
That
Dracula?
is your copy.
I almost looked. Wait. Oh my god. So Boom and I were going to talk, and I was going to be like, oh man, he's got a copy of Dracula that's the same as mine. No, he just had my copy of Dracula.
I figured you just left it like as you know. I've got a lot of your books
I know.
around my place.
Dude, oh man, you're going to have to follow me out to my car. Because I've got Mistborn 2, which is alright. The ending was pretty good. I've got both Lies books, both sequels to that. I've got, like, Assassin's Apprentice, which I'm still working through. I've got a bunch of your books.
You do.
That's crazy.
But I've got a lot. Yeah, maybe we can do a little swap.
That's funny.
They're
Well, the
starting
ones
to
we
pile
don't
up
know,
on
yeah.
my little TV stand.
Before we move into the spoilers, which is funny for a book that's older than anyone alive, plus 50
By a
years.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not close.
Oh yeah, one more thing about the audiobook thing. I had a really fun audiobook. Mine for
Yeah, it sounds like I had a less fun audio.
Yeah, so mine's on Spotify. I'll plug it. It's not hard to find. I forget the guy's name, but he also does his own horror novels and stuff on Spotify. And he is really intricate when it comes to the accents and stuff. And he did a really good job. So I forget his name off the top of my head, but it won't be hard to find on Spotify.
Yeah, I went through Audible. They've got, like, with your membership, they have Dracula for free, which was cool. I mean, it's, you know, finding it on Spotify, too. It's not like you're paying for it.
It's
But
not hard to find it all.
very much, very less, you know, not quite as much with the dialogues there.
Dude, what's
But-
the name of the Texan? I've been sitting here thinking about it.
Quincy Morris?
Quincy Morris. I don't know why I was thinking Gus Johnson.
Old
Like the
Gus.
TV announcer, like for college football. I don't know why I thought. Yeah, but Quincy Morris, he'd give him that sort of southern affectation.
No, they didn't have that. Mine was narrated by like several people.
Yeah.
One of them did. I don't know what their
Were they
names were
celebrities?
individually. I don't think so. I think they're like book reader. You know, like
Yeah,
they
in
all
that-
like
in that realm.
have done that
Yeah.
before. Like they've voice-overed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because a couple of them I did recognize. Like the first guy who was talking as Jonathan. He had a very familiar voice and
Jonathan
a good
Harker.
one.
When I did Moby Dick on Spotify, they had like real big name actors. Like some of them were not known to me, but because they're mostly English. But there's like Benedict Cumberbatch was one of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They had some real big names. But before we move into the spoilers, do you recommend this for people?
I recommend it definitely for people who are into like reading books seasonally, or really just read. It's a good book, although I don't think the format I don't know that everyone would love it.
Gotta audiobook it.
Yeah.
You cannot read this physical. You will your eyes will glaze over, especially at the beginning because it's a slow burn, and at the end because the end is also a slow burn, which is made for people stuck in a cabin on a covered wagon, people who have no choice but to read. So I get it. I'm not mad at Bram for doing this. It's merely not the format that is conducive for current day reading. That being said, it's still a very effective book.
Yeah, I do like it. Getting to listen to it, the entries are very cool.
The imagery is fantastic.
Yeah,
I think that's what
does it. That's what does it.
Frankenstein for me, potentially. Well, all right. Boom. Would you like to lead us out of the realm of the spoilers? Or non-spoilers?
Yep, absolutely. If you guys are leaving now because you want to get in on this audiobook or try to get through reading it, we're glad you stopped by. Happy Halloween. Let us know what you dress up as. All of you listeners, I know we're going to be overflowing. Yeah, especially literary characters.
Please.
And I'd like to say I did a little bit of research because I know Star Wars was not written as books it's not like most adaptations, but the book was technically released before the movie.
They've got all those.
It was a screenplay first. The book came out the year before the movie did.
Screenplay book movie. Yeah.
So I didn't want to just be movie character ultimately, but I don't know. The Jedi was just calling my name.
Yeah, I knew instantly because I wanted us both to be Dracula deep down.
I figured because I knew leading up to it, Dracula just made a lot of sense to be because he's one of the only characters we've really read that's super dress up as a bull.
Frankenstein, Dracula. That's it.
Yeah, I'm looking through books I've read that most books don't really lend to being dressed up as
if we had read Discworld 2 weeks earlier, because I would kill to dress as Death. I love Death in those books. When we talk about Mort, it will take at least an hour.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm nearly finished with Color of Magic.
Yep. Color of Magic is fun too.
It is. It's fun. That's the best way to describe it. It's just a fun book.
Rincewind
a funny little guy.
The luggage.
The luggage is hilarious. Good stuff. But yes, back to the outro.
Yep.
Thanks for stopping by. Happy Halloween. With that, I've been Boom.
And I've been Spice.
We'll see you next time.
Welcome back. Now, Boom, I don't want to dwell on this too much because that's not the air of the Halloween episode. It's not to army crawl through books. But there's one section I want to highlight as something that stuck out to me more than any other long-form book that I've read in this style. There's been 3 of them. Got your Frankenstein, Dracula, and Moby Dick. And other than maybe, there's a section of Moby Dick where he describes the color of the whale in a lot of detail, and the metaphors he uses in it are really powerful. Outside of that, the most powerful thing that's hit me throughout this entire thing is when the boat comes into harbor and you've got the man tethered to the wheel with a rosary, and it's being flown blind, essentially, just with him flopping around. That was freaky. That was inventive. I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yeah, I completely agree. That was a riveting couple pages.
Yes.
Going through their whole trip through madness and stuff was a crazy way.
How does that escape adaptation? How is that not what gets in there?
Oh my god, I can only imagine. That would in any movie with that would be such a great way to just terrify people of Dracula.
You
Like,
see a corpse flopping around, like as if it's piloting, but it's like it's all loose. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing to imagine.
and that's such a big part of Dracula is like that, just like menacing, like creepy, just.
He's creative in his terror.
Yeah, that's a huge part of the character, and that displays it so well. So it is wild that they don't include that in more things. That's the first I'd ever heard about that at all.
Or like the turning into wolves thing. I get not stepping on werewolves' toes, but like it's so much scarier than a bat. So much scarier than a bat. That it's like, why do you not do this? There's the scene where he jumps through the window as a wolf to scare that woman and her mom, and kills the mom and winds up killing the girl eventually. That's pretty spooky. Like he's a very creative, malevolent force. So you got that. You've got him tethered to the wheel. You've got like the whole Jonathan Harker thing where like he just stalks him for weeks. Like I don't. It's crazy. I thought for sure Jonathan Harker was going to die after he hit him with the shovel. I thought Jonathan Harker was gonna perish.
I know, poor Quincy.
Oh, Paul Quincy Morris.
Quincy Morris.
Oh man, weird that all those dudes proposed to that woman and became friends. But
they were like fast friends.
Were they friends before they proposed?
I think so.
Still weird.
It's either that or like they just really bonded over how much they liked this girl, which is like the opposite of how guys normally you'd think guys normally are.
Yeah,
like,
it's not the sort of thing
we both like the same girl, and she chose you, but like I really like that you like her very much.
I like the way you treat her. Like I get it, and like
yeah, it's respectable. It's wild. They
seem
were that
like,
cool with each other.
Yeah, that seems like the sort of thing that you get at when you get like a loser who's like gets rejected because sorry I have a boyfriend. So, yeah, we just be friends. And they were trying to finagle their way in. No, these guys were like buds. Like these guys were. Really,
absolutely.
Really
they were like
this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quincy Morris was a respectable guy. I'm glad they killed off somebody though.
Oh yeah, no. If it would have been nobody, that would have been rough.
Dracula's kind of weak though. Dracula's kind of weak.
Dracula was.
They built him up.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially, I mean, with Jonathan's journal, like, at the beginning is, like, just terrible. I mean, it's frightening, and then they get to the end, and they're just like, he's got to kill this dude in a box.
Yeah, and they hired a bunch of people who ran off right away.
And then they did, and he's got these guys protecting them, and as soon as they are in danger, they're like, okay, you guys are definitely going to just kill him, like, it's not like we're going to have any repercussions.
Yeah,
we'll just leave.
Either you're going to kill us and kill him, or you're just going to kill him. So we ran off. That was weird.
Yeah, and, like, being I mean, like, he's had so long to, like, you'd think he'd have, like, a really good plan for, like, that. I don't know.
Also, him being caught and killed hinges on them having money. I know at least one woman... Maybe Harker's wife covers it, where she's like, I'm so glad we have the funds to, chase Dracula across the countryside. And it's like, I don't know why Dracula didn't just kill a bunch of, like, homeless people or something for years. Like, just, like prostitutes and, like gamblers and stuff who, like...
Yeah, he decided to mess with these people with a lot of resources.
Means
and who are, like,
alibis,
incredibly smart.
Who all have... steadfast friends who would be willing to attack.
Yeah, absolutely die for each other. Like, he picked the most formidable group, like, to mess with.
Like, I think you or I would be far better targets for Dracula than any of them. Like, I have no firearms, and I have very little social mobility. If Boom got chosen by Dracula to be turned into one of his henchmen through, like... he didn't instantly turn people into vampires. He'd, like, bite them, suckle them a few nights, and then, like, let them slowly turn into vampires, weirdly enough. And if that was the goal, I don't know what I'd do. I don't know. I'd have, like, no choice.
You know what's wild, too, is, like, how they were all the same blood type.
Yeah, exactly. They're all, like, O or something?
They must have been, because they're doing blood transfusion just, like, all over the place. I'm like,
And Van Helsing's math is weird, where he's like, and now Dracula has the power of 4 young men because he sucked Mina Harker's blood.
Yep.
Also, back when you could be both a lawyer and a doctor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious. Also, he doesn't have to fight the henchwomen of Dracula at all. I don't know what's up with that. They don't kill anybody.
No.
To our knowledge, on screen at least.
I don't think that they do.
Bram Stoker kind of buries the lead a little bit too much here. It's my sole criticism because Frankenstein kills a lot.
Oh yeah.
He kills that boy in the woods, right? He kills the wife.
Yes.
He kills the father through sort of a domino effect because he becomes sick as a result of all this bad news. He, in effect, kills Victor Frankenstein because he's completely ruined
by the end
rest of his life.
Yeah, by the end of it, he's
So that's
just
4
done
people.
anyway.
Meanwhile, Dracula, who is an infinitely more malevolent force than the monster would ever be, has killed. Is it Mina Harker who dies?
Yeah. No, it's
the other woman.
Lucy.
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 She was going to marry one of the 3 guys.
Name.
Yeah, Lucy, one of the 3 guys who's not Quincy Morris. Lucy, friend of...
Lucy, friend of Mina. Oh, this is I'm like in the book right now. I don't know that it's going to be able to find it.
That's
just at
alright.
a glance.
That's alright. They can Google Lucy. They know who's up.
Yeah, it's definitely Lucy. I'm like 98% on that.
No, you're right. He kills Lucy. He kills the grandma. And that's it. He kills like 4 people on the boat.
Yeah,
And then-
people on the boat.
That's
I
got his
mean-
kill count up to like 6.
Yeah, and
Quincy Morris.
Quincy.
Like, I know he didn't do it directly.
But yeah, his
he
actions.
hired the people. 7 people for a centuries-old, super-powered vampire who wants
just
to
straight
kill
up
people.
villain. Yeah, I mean he is a bad guy.
Wait, Frankenstein kills another person because someone washes ashore and he frames Victor Frankenstein. It's 5 to 7. The kill count.
Kill count
Yeah.
5 to 7.
Moby-
But Frankenstein being, like you said, someone who is not just naturally a killer.
Yeah. Moby Dick kills scores of people at the end. Like dozens of people at the end of Moby Dick. The only survivor of the Pequod's, sinking at the hands of Moby Dick is Ishmael. So, of these three characters,
Moby
Dick's
Dick.
the most
Moby Dick
formidable.
is the biggest killer of them all.
Well, Frankenstein didn't want to at all.
Well, that's the thing. Frankenstein was not like a benevolent person, or being.
No.
He was completely just pushed to it through. I mean, they were trying to kill him. Like, if they had their way.
Man stuff with the sons. I didn't like any of that for him.
No, he's been through a lot. Dracula's just, he's just an evil guy.
I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
I'm just rambling.
I understand. I feel like the sole thing that keeps Frankenstein above Dracula for me is that the thoughts generated by Frankenstein, the questions, are more profound than Dracula's. Because we've talked about the economic implications of Dracula, where, like, Karl Marx cites Dracula as, like, or vampires as, like, a capitalist sort of allegory. That's a cool train of thought, and I get it. And monsters and other types of kaiju are meant to mirror real-life Godzilla and King Kong in terms of societal problems reflected in media. However, the ideas put forth by Frankenstein are just more interesting for me to chew on.
Yeah.
So for as much as I like Dracula, I feel like Frankenstein still stands above it. Solely in that sense.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with you. It's close. Dracula had, like we were talking about with the imagery, like especially just that first, like the first couple chapters of Jonathan Harker's journal. Is it Harker?
I think it's Harker. Yeah.
Yeah, his journal. are just awesome.
They're awesome.
I
They're
was
fantastic.
that was like some of the best reading I've done in a while. Just those couple chapters where he's like meeting Dracula,
Yeah.
listening to this crazy dude talk, and realizing he's a prisoner, sleeping in the study he's not supposed to sleep in, and meeting those chicks. Crazy.
There's that thing where he's shaving. It's like, oh, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not safe to lose blood in these parts, Mr. Jonathan.
That's some of my favorite stuff. Is just how he just alludes to how creepy he is
If you didn't
anytime
know he was a
something's
vampire,
happening.
it would be so creepy.
Yeah, like just the way he anytime something happens that's weird, the way he explains it, like it's just weird. Jonathan's trying to like look around the place. He's like, just make sure you get to your room at the end of the night because when you're not,
Something bad might happen.
bad stuff happens when we're
Give
not
me
in
give
our
me a
own
Dracula.
spaces.
Yeah, give me a Dracula impression.
I don't think I have a Dracula one.
Well, then do a count, like the count from Sesame Street. You can do the count.
The Count from Sesame. I don't think I didn't know the Count from Sesame. I didn't
One,
know Sesame.
two, three. Yeah, you got that.
One, two.
Yeah, you nailed it.
There we go.
Yeah, you got it.
Perfect.
Do a Frankenstein impression. I
I
can't. I can't speak French. I don't know.
He was.
Oh man, you've encountered death in The Color of Magic, right?
Yes.
What kind of voice do you assign him?
They actually have an audiobook I've been doing with The Color of Magic to try to get through it quicker while I'm driving and stuff. They've got a really interesting voice for death there, because the way his voice is described in the books is like pretty heavy. Like they put a lot of effort into like giving you this person's voice. Like, it sounds like with the wording they choose to describe it, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's just a really like deep, scrapey, almost like it's two people. Like it's several persons talking.
That's
kind of
interesting.
voice. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I internalize it as like a husky sort of like, because it's meant to be an internal monologue that's being projected into you. Because you can't talk. It's a skeleton. That's why there's no quotes. So, like, it's I go for a husky sort of like that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I can see that.
Yeah.
That sounds like it could be a death.
Boom. Would you read this style of book again?
I probably would. I think it's an interesting. It was. I don't know that I've ever read anything that was quite like this. Just with it being 100% letters and journal entries. But it was cool. I mean, it's a really interesting format.
That's Frankenstein.
Yeah, I mean, Frankenstein is too.
Why?
Frankenstein's like even more in depth.
Yeah.
It's like a person telling a story about a person telling a story who's telling a story.
People who are telling them stuff.
But no, it's good. I do like it. My one my only critique, and it's not so much in Dracula, but I could see with like other people, like works that would try to do it, is when you're reading something that is a journal entry, any scene that has much suspense in it isn't as suspenseful to me.
They don't.
Which for this one, it's not an issue, because there's never really it's never meant to be like that. It's more just creepy, like. But it's not like there's any doubt that they're going to get him.
I disagree with some of that. Like, Jonathan Harker's journal, you have no idea who's picked up this journal because they leave it at the end.
No, not at the end there. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. But at the very end, like in the one where they're like chasing, trying to get to the box,
trying to capture him. Yeah,
it's like presumably if you're writing from. You're right. I guess because she wasn't. If even one of them escapes, that doesn't mean that they got him.
Yeah, and there's a point in.
That's a good point.
Yeah, there's a point in Van Helsing's build up to the end, where he discusses getting record keeping together, so that if they perished while trying to kill Dracula, other people would be able to find it and figure out the same stuff they did in terms of garlic, what he turns into, crucifixes and stakes and all that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That makes sense.
And then, there's some stuff that goes unexplained, and then they explain it, where, you've got on the boat with the guy and the crucifix. You've got, what's another one? That news report about the wolf, and you're like, how's this going to play into that? And then he comes back to roost, and they're like, oh, he's been, eating something weird. I don't know. It's not, I don't know. I disagree.
Yeah, no, that's a completely fair point.
Yep.
That makes more sense.
I have no real complaints. It's a slow read, but that's what it was made to be. So
yeah, you're right. It's like you said at the beginning.
Yeah,
for the people it's written. The time it's written. It's not like there's a whole bunch of other things to be doing.
Yeah, you're supposed to
You can
spend
deal
all
with
day
the slow
reading
read.
this book. Yeah.
But that is something I hear from people who don't. I mean, especially reading the book is it could be tough.
Yeah, do an audiobook.
The audiobook was super pleasant. I had a good time listening to that audiobook.
All right, boom. Before we go, give me a Quincy Morris impression.
I'm putting it together real quick so you guys get the real deal.
Let's see if I can find a quote. Let's see. I know
I know this book. It's hard. I tried to do that to find Lucy's last name. I'm trying to come up with a quick quote, or just anywhere they mention her name, but it's so back and forth. It's like taking shots in the dark.
Oh, I hit that that ending where Van Helsing's like, yeah, and they named the kid after Quincy Morris. Let's see. Found it. I found a good one. I am only too happy to have been of service. Oh, God, he cried suddenly, struggling to a sitting posture and pointing to me. It was all worth this to die. Look, look. The sun was right down upon the mountaintop, and the red gleams fell upon my face, so that it was bathed in rosy light. In one impulse, the men sank on their knees, and a deep and earnest amen broke from all as their eyes followed the pointing of his finger as the dying man spoke. Now God be thanked that all has not been in vain. See, the snow is not more stainless than her forehead. The curse has passed away. And to our bitter grief, with a smile and in silence he died, a gallant gentleman. That was Quincy Morris.
Quincy Morris.
Quincy
Morris.
Yeah, I imitate him like one of the guys from Django Unchained. The LaQuint Dickey Mining Company. Quincy Morris. I'm only too happy to have been of service to you, Mr. Van Helsing.
Man, I tell you what, though, I'm glad I got finished with the audiobook before I had tried to open this up to read it. My copy of this book. The text just goes all the way up to the roof.
Yeah, terrible.
Of this thing. It's like, this is...
That doesn't look like it was made to be read. Just straight up.
No, I think that's exactly it. I don't think this was intended to be read.
But, you say something about Dracula in Dracula's tongue then. Something like that.
Something by Dracula.
Maybe something you liked about Dracula. Yeah. Not the man, the book.
Oh, the book. Something I like. I like his robe. What did you like about Dracula? Dracula.
I like the imagery.
The imagery. This is fun. Cameron, Boom's girlfriend.
I had to think about how to.
Yeah. She goes to a college for theater, and her friends are very into accents, and Boom is not into accents at all. He's for some reason he can't do it. and they play a game. They play a game called Kings, and if you they make rules in this game, and they always make one of the rules. You have to do an accent for the rest of the game, and then I just can't talk. That's every time they do it. I just cross my arms. Nope.
No more. No more
I'm
from
not
Boom.
going to talk. Change the rule.
All right, Boom. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween to the audience. We finally did something on time.
We had this idea for a Halloween episode before.
Yeah. It turned into Fantasy Friday.
It turned into Fantasy Friday.
On that note, Boom, thank you for having me on. Thank you for recording with me. Thank you for dressing up. Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else. And I've been Spice.
And I'm Boom. We will see you soon.